There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is. And it's treated no differently than playing a British soldier.
There you are, watching Brokeback Mountain from your living room couch, and all of a sudden, you're gay. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is. All right, now let's get this all off. Get it all off. What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here, and today we are gonna bring up the age-old debate: do violence in video games cause violence in the real world? Now, you might be asking, Act Man, this topic has been done to death. Why are you bringing it up again? Well, it's because it was brought up by a very reputable video games channel on YouTube. Now, I referenced the violence in video games debate. That's not explicitly what they're talking about, but the principles are the same. So you guys might have seen this before. It is sitting at a whopping 159,000 dislikes at 619,000 views. That is crazy. Stop normalizing Nazis. Socially conscious game design. I got goosebumps, man. The trigger is coming through my bloodstream. I am triggered already, just from the title. So if you don't know, Extra Credits is a channel that was devoted to in-depth game analysis, and they were known to me for like their cute drawings, their unique presentation, slightly high-pitched voice of the narrator.
Hello, I'm Scott, artist of Extra Credits, and
and above all else, a dissection of niche and quirky elements of video games and video game design. They were videos that made you think and reflect on those maybe minor details that actually play a really big part in the overall game. And they've been on YouTube for a while. I mean, this channel, I would say, was one of the first channels that really got people to think critically about video games. And then at some point they turned into a history channel, and I stopped watching them, but they still make games content. But you know what? Maybe they shouldn't. Okay, and just to clarify, this is not a hit piece on Extra Credits or like the people that work for this channel or anything. I don't think any YouTuber should be judged based solely on like one video, even if it is horrendous. I don't want to be judged that way, and I don't want to judge Extra Credits that way. So I will try not to do that, but I don't know. Whoa, Act Man, you promised you'd stop getting political. Well, looks like I've come out of retirement. If you are somewhat worried about me becoming a political channel, don't. I'm not, aside from the spare video here and there. So, let's just gas our way straight into this. I just realized I have no idea how I'm gonna handle the demonetization for this video. It's done.
There you are, playing the PvP in your World War II shooter, and all of a sudden, you're a Nazi. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose this. Yet there it is. And it's treated no differently than playing a British soldier.
God damn it. Oh. The more thought I put into it, the funnier it gets. And all of a sudden, you're a Nazi.
And all of a sudden, you're a Nazi.
It's just like, the way he says it, he's so fucking confident. He's like, this is just a matter of fact. This is a fact of life. You play a World War II shooter, all of a sudden, you're a Nazi. Do you think he was sitting in the writing process of this video? He was like, this is gonna go over well. Wow, what a start. What a start we have here, folks. This is one of those videos where like you could stop after every sentence and explain for 5 minutes why that sentence was the stupidest sentence that's ever been said by a person. This is one of those types of videos where so much is wrong so quickly, like your brain has to catch up. You have to pause and like, okay. You have to process the retardation that you've just listened to.
This is bad on so many levels. No one should ever have a random chance of fighting for the Nazis. And we should never express that there's no meaningful difference between Nazis and Allied soldiers, or that they're functionally interchangeable.
Well, in a game like Call of Duty, they are virtually interchangeable, because nothing changes based on which faction you fight for. It's the same game. It's just a multiplayer game. Like that's one of the most like simple, basic things about a video game is not even like good versus bad, but just like red versus blue, Allied versus Axis. Like why are you complaining about this? Why is this an issue?
And before anyone equivocates and says not all German soldiers in World War II were Nazis,
do you sense the smugness that went into drawing these figures? Like, listen to what he's saying. Not every German soldier was a Nazi. And like these two guys are like, yeah, whatever. And they're painting this guy as like the fucking Poindexter nerd. It's like, how dare we try and portray our enemies as humans? How dare we acknowledge the fact that a country in time, in history, wasn't 100% made up of horrible, awful people that hated the Jews? Like, how dare we humanize the other side?
if they were wearing the swastika and are functioning as an arm of the Nazi government, then unless the game goes out of its way to tell you specifically that your particular character is not a Nazi, then they're a Nazi.
Do you also hear like the weight with which he delivers that line? Like, I want you guys, I know this is a channel that is trying to get you to think critically about things, but they're not doing that anymore. So I want you to think critically about why this video is so awful and what the people behind it are actually trying to say. It's like, then they're a Nazi? Your in-game character, a Nazi?
Then they're a Nazi.
Okay, realistically, I am so confused, I am perplexed, bamboozled, I am baffled, and I am unzipped. I don't understand why this video exists in 2019. The Germans were defeated in 1945. The Nazis were defeated there, okay? And this is a greater point that has just bugged the shit out of me in recent years. Stop treating Nazis and neo-Nazis like they're a huge, widespread problem. Like that there's millions of them throughout. Because there's not. You're inflating their importance, okay? I'd say we have a bigger problem with people that think the earth is flat. But regardless, it's like, you guys remember when World War II shooters were the big thing and everyone was trying to do them? Yeah, that was a decade ago. And it went on for a decade. My point is, why was this video released now? The timing is awful. This channel always covered oddball topics, but this is just stupid. Matter of fact, people in the comments are pointing out that this channel was sponsored by World of Tanks, so there's even a bit of hypocrisy going on there. Mwah! This shit cake, I tell you, it keeps getting better.
In that multiplayer shooter, when it switched you to the German side, did it go out of its way to tell you that the person you're playing was pressed into service under threat of their life? Yeah, that's a big old nope.
Yeah, imagine getting like a prompt every time you respawn in a World War II shooter, like, your soldier was forced into service. Feel bad for them. You are not a Nazi. Are people's feelings so sensitive to history that like they would need something like that to coddle them in a video game experience that they chose to buy? You chose to buy the game. You picked it out, okay?
You didn't choose this.
You chose to play the multiplayer.
Oh, and on a similar note, let's please stop forcing people to play as terrorists as well. There you are, playing your modern shooter, and all of a sudden you're a terrorist. You didn't ask for this, you didn't choose this, and yet second verse, same as the first. There it is.
It's the misplaced, arrogant confidence. That's what gets me. It's the delivery. It's, oh, God.
I mean, that's literally the name of your side in the game. We can do better than this.
We can do better than this. We'll just call them bad guys versus good guys. Okay? Zero flavor, zero style, super vanilla. Nobody could possibly be offended by good guys win. I mean, how much cooler is that than counter-terrorists win? Yeah, no, fuck you, dude.
Even if you put aside all of the people who have had traumatic experiences with these groups, who have lost loved ones to terrorists, or who have had generations of their families wiped out by Nazis, no one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent without actually opting into it in your game.
It's a game set in World War II. The Nazis are gonna be in it. How are you so sensitive to history from like 90 years ago? I had an uncle that fought in Vietnam, got shot in the back. Hella badass. I respect him so much. But I don't think he gives two shits about a game like Black Ops 1. I mean, even back in like the 60s, man, fresh after World War II, the Twilight Zone and all sorts of shows were parodying Hitler and having Nazi imagery in their episodes and shows. It's like, how is this at all relevant to the time and period we live in? It's not. You are out here triggering people. Extra credits. You are out here triggering people.
No one should have to put on the costume of an ideology they find abhorrent without actually opting into it in your game.
The ideology isn't even present in the multiplayer, dude. You were talking about PvP. They got no fucking ideologies in there. The only ideology is which gun do I choose? How do I kill my opponents? What's the best map? Okay.
And by making people do so, we get them to stop thinking about it, to stop thinking of the meaning behind these things. We normalize them.
Maybe it's not normalizing, maybe it's just a lack of caring because it's not relevant. Because Nazis aren't actually a faction that has any power at all.
We make them just window dressing for entertainment. Those uniforms, those symbols, become things that no longer inherently revolt us.
Oh yeah, the Iron Cross, man. I'm so... The Iron Cross is disgusting. Like, that's... Do you also love how they don't have the swastika in this video at all? I bet you someone behind the scenes was like, I don't want people to get offended by this video. And or they were offended by the swastika and were like, I don't want to put this in. And so they just made a colossal blunder by equating the Iron Cross to the swastika. It's like, you guys are a fucking History Channel.
They reduce our visceral reaction to seeing the embodiment of these ideologies. Now, does this make us totally ignore the history that comes with them? No. But for some people, it moves them from the territory of revolting to just edgy. It makes scrawling a swastika on something change from unthinkable to just dangerous.
Talking like a fucking anti-drug commercial. The ones that were just so lame and they forced you to watch them in like high school, or those like smoking weed makes you not the person you are.
Hey, Lindsay, I wish you didn't smoke weed. You're not the same when you smoke. And I miss my friend.
I want my friend back. Just that lame-ass shit that made it cooler to smoke. It's like, do you see how far off track we've gotten from reality? You're talking about a game where you shoot people, and now we're talking about spray painting swastikas on animals. What?
It means you might not take iron crosses all over a website as a warning sign that you should immediately leave. And if you don't leave, you might start reading and buying into hateful ideas there.
I can't, dude. I can't. I can't do this. Remember what I was saying? Like so much is going on in my head right now. So much I want to say.
By the time you've played 100 hours of being a Nazi, their voice stabs become memes and in-jokes with your friends. By the 1000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them.
This is why I made that Stop Politicizing Video Games video. Because of videos and people and articles like this that try to make video games unfun, that try to make it about politics. There is no statement, there is no politics, there is no ideology present in Call of Duty World War II's multiplayer. The only thing there is garbage. But seriously, like, nobody plays these games, goes online, finds a website filled with iron crosses, or I should say swastikas, and is suddenly like, yeah, you know, I really hate the Jews. I just cannot believe that a channel that was devoted to getting people to think critically about video games has demonstrated a complete lack of any sort of critical thinking skills. And in two and a half minutes in, there is 3 more minutes of this garbage left. Again, I'll just keep referring back to the Penn Jillette quote, which is always so relevant, always applicable to every situation that involves people shit-talking on video games saying it causes real-world problems.
To try to blame Shakespeare and the violence in Shakespeare and the violence in art for violence that happens in the real world is something that's been tried for years and is always wrong.
By the time you've played 100 hours of being a Nazi, their voice stabs become memes and in-jokes with your friends.
OMG, dude, this Nazi is totally off the hook. Yeah, I mean, in the Call of Duty games, Richtofen's fucking hilarious. I don't sympathize with Nazi ideology or Nazi beliefs or feel more in tune with them. Richthofen is just a funny, crazy German dude killing zombies. Like, there's nothing there.
By the 1000th time you've respawned as a terrorist, you're either celebrating them or making fun of them.
Terrorists rule. I can't even believe I'm recording a response to this video. You are so out of touch. No, wait. It's everyone else who's wrong. I saw a comment on this video that perfectly summarized what's wrong with this video, and it's basically this sentence right here.
You're either celebrating them or making fun of them. Neither of which helps the global crisis we have that takes thousands of lives every year.
What they're implying is that video games are a space to fight real terrorism in the real world. You're saying that video games and game developers need to combat these ideologies and terrorist organizations. They don't have to do shit.
So what do? That's easy. Don't make them morally equivalent. Don't make there be no in-game moral difference between your Nazis and your allies, between your terrorists and your counter-terrorist squads.
Just make the game fun. Just make it entertaining. And it is people like this that bugged the shit out of me, that inspired me to make that Stop Politicizing Video Games video, is because I want games to be fun. I don't want it to turn into a discussion about how many people died in World War II, how many people the Nazis killed, how much terrorism is going on in the world. I go to video games to escape the shitty conditions of the world, okay? The distinction between fantasy and reality. It's like, playing Grand Theft Auto doesn't make you a murderer. Playing Madden doesn't make you a football player. Shooting a gun in a video game doesn't teach you how to shoot a gun in real life. Playing as a Nazi doesn't make you a Nazi. Playing as a terrorist doesn't make you a terrorist. It's like these are just simple, unexplained things that fucking retards out there can't seem to grasp. It's just the same bullshit over and over again. Just different day, different people. Time is a flat circle.
And if you decide that you need to have both sides be playable, don't make them interchangeable. Don't have players randomly spawn in as one or the other. Allow players to choose which side they're on. Now, of course, this has all sorts of in-game problems, such as creating shorter wait times for fascists.
Shorter wait times for fascists? God, fuck off. You can see like what the general public of gamers thinks about this. It's all in the comment section and the dislike bar. Like, nobody thinks like this. Nobody thinks game developers should fucking coddle us and baby us and make their jobs harder to satisfy our fragile emotional states, okay? If you can't handle seeing a swastika or a Nazi in a video game, number one, don't buy it, and number two, maybe find a different hobby.
Those wait times could be artificially extended, if it meant players had an active choice in what teams they would represent, if you're saying we need people playing Nazis in our games.
He's literally talking about artificially inflated wait times for games. I think that might be illegal.
And if you're going to say, but we need it for historical reasons, then your game better actually be historical. You need your PvP to at least represent real historical events, and be a realistic take on those battles. Once you make both sides balanced, it's also no longer historical. And you can't really say that you need Nazis anymore for historical accuracy. Oh, and once you let players get cool weapons that weren't actually at that particular battleground, it's also no longer historically accurate. And you can't declare that your game will suffer if you don't put players in the jackboots of the Third Reich.
Like, just imagine all this shit a World War II video game developer would have to do to please this fucking asshole. All the hoops and all the bullshit they'd have to deal with. God. You know, I try to find positive things about videos or even people that, you know, I criticize or games that I criticize. I try to find positive things. I find no positivity here. None whatsoever.
And look, we're not saying we can't have games about World War II or about terrorism. We're not even saying we shouldn't make games where you play as a Nazi or a terrorist. But what we are saying is that the fact that you're playing as a Nazi or a terrorist in a game has to mean something.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. You want it to mean something, but it doesn't. I am sorry. I mean, there's important things in life that people should give a fuck about, and then there's non-important things in life that people shouldn't give a fuck about. We should not be focusing energy on whether or not people can play as a Nazi in multiplayer World War II games. That is up to the developer's discretion. And as long as this country isn't Germany, We don't really have any laws around that, okay? Now, I'd also like to point out and talk about the way Extra Credits has handled this, situation after it blew up in their faces. So this channel is actually big enough to have a communications director. You know, someone who's in charge of, communicating with people. And I just love it when people double down on mistakes because it just adds more entertainment for the rest of us. If you want the twisted logic put on display, it's right here. We love losing all the bigoted subscribers. Are you kidding me? Less bigotry is great. Dislikes are still engagement. I think the real question is, how did you get so many bigoted subscribers in the first place? What kind of content were you putting out there? I just find it funny that it's not enough for them to question the video and whether or not it was good and the points they made in it were shit or not. They're just like, oh, everyone that disagrees, bigots. Hey, if anyone out there has ever thought Call of Duty World War II was good and disagreed with my review of it, guess what? You're a bigot. Aside from some hilarious tweets, they also made an apology. And I use quotation marks when I say apology because it's not really one. Hey folks, this one seems to have struck a nerve. I wanted to address some of the comments that seem to have misunderstood some aspects of the video. Notice how they take no responsibility for this at all? See, there's a difference between making mistakes and making it right and damage control. This whole apology is damage control. When I fucked up in my E3 video and I put a picture of Warframe when I was talking about looter shooters, I didn't intend to portray Warframe as a game that was corrupted by microtransactions and loot boxes. I was just putting pictures of relevant looter shooters up, but a lot of people had a problem with that, and I was like, damn, I really fucked up. So guess what? I apologized for it, but I didn't come out and say like, wow, I really struck a nerve there. I didn't get like a superiority complex. In any case, they say, we never said that playing as a Nazi turns you into a Nazi. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Well, you said that in the beginning of the video. Like, what are you talking about? It's just like, it's all very defensive, and I think it kind of shows their true colors a bit. Extra Credits was a channel that prided itself on critical thinking, yet when you think everyone that disagrees with you is a bigot, you aren't really thinking critically at all. And therefore, in my eyes, this channel's lost the thing that made it so special. So that's all I have to say, man. If you guys are interested in any more videos where I, engage these ideas that video games cause real-world problems, I got a whole bunch of them. War Against Video Games, Feminists and SJWs, Millionaire Douche. Like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to The Act Man for more awesome content. Let me know your thoughts down below. I want to hear your memes and your goofs and your gaffes. Thank you all for watching. That's all I got for today. Next video will be more positive. This is The Act Man signing out. Peace!